Hey everyone. This is Six Path Weeb, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into another exciting chapter of our fanfic series, What If Naruko Became the Ultimate Shinobi Overnight? Part 2. If you enjoyed Part 1, things are about to get even more intense. New power, new challenges, and decisions that could change everything. This is where the story truly begins to unfold. Before we jump in, a quick disclaimer. This content is created purely for entertainment and discussion purposes. I do not own any of the anime footage used in these videos. All rights and credits belong to their respective creators and copyright holders. Now, without wasting any time, let's begin. What do you think you're doing? Tsunade called out, her voice firm but not unkind as she paced behind her desk. Standing before her were Team Asuma, Team Kakashi, and at the center of it all, Naruko and her team. It was clear that Naruko was receiving most of the attention. Just because you went on a long journey doesn't mean you can travel to other villages whenever you feel like it, Tsunade continued. And how did you even know that the Sand Village needed help? Who was responsible? Naruko stepped forward, gently scratching the back of her head with a thoughtful smile. Well, she began, I learned about it from Shukaku. During my travels, I discovered how to communicate with all the tailed spirits and borrow a little of their strength. Some of them told me that trouble might be coming. I just didn't expect it so soon. Tsunade paused, pressing her fingers to her temple as if thinking very hard. I see, she said. Then tell me, who are these people causing trouble? What do they want? Naruko shifted her weight slightly. I can explain everything, she said, but it might be easier if I tell the full story when everyone arrives. Tsunade narrowed her eyes. Everyone? Naruko smiled a little nervously. I invited the leaders from the Mist, Sand, and Rain villages. They should be here in a few days. Tsunade stopped pacing altogether. You invited them here? Naruko straightened, her voice calm but determined. One of our closest allies has already suffered great damage. That means something serious is beginning. I didn't want to worry anyone before, but now we need to work together. I want to help protect everyone I care about. The room grew quiet as Tsunade studied her. After a long moment, she let out a slow breath and gave a small nod. You really have grown, she said. All right. I'll trust your judgment, for now. But you'll take responsibility if anything goes wrong. Naruko's face lit up. Thank you, Lady Tsunade. Tsunade reached for a bottle on her desk, then paused. There's one more thing, she added. Why is Kaguya here? And why is she walking around freely? Naruko tilted her head. Oh, that's part of the story too, she said cheerfully. And she's not dangerous anymore. Just then, a loud crash came from behind them as a window shattered. Everyone turned in surprise. Naruko quickly stepped aside as something harmless but unexpected, like a stray piece of debris, flew past and tapped the wall. She walked to the window and waved outside. Kaguya, please be careful. Windows are expensive. Across the street, Kaguya stood on a rooftop, her expression calm but slightly puzzled. After a moment, she turned and quietly leapt away. Tsunade blinked. That didn't look harmless. Naruko chuckled softly. She's still learning, she explained. I made sure she can't use any dangerous powers. Now she's just figuring things out, like the rest of us. Tsunade sighed again, but this time there was a hint of a smile. Very well. You're all dismissed. As everyone began to leave, Tsunade called out, Naruko, how long until the others arrive? Naruko thought for a moment, then held up 3 fingers. 3 days. Tsunade looked surprised, but decided not to ask more questions. Outside in the hallway, Shizune walked up beside Kakashi, holding a stack of papers. My shift ends early today, she said softly. Would you like to have dinner together? Kakashi gave a friendly smile. That's very kind of you, but I'll have to pass today. Maybe another time. Shizune nodded politely, though she looked a little disappointed. As Kakashi walked away, Karen gently tapped Shizune's shoulder. Don't worry, she said kindly. Sometimes people just need time. You'll figure things out. Shizune gave a small, thoughtful smile. Meanwhile, outside under the warm sunlight, Naruko stretched her arms and looked up at the sky. So much was changing, and many questions still remained, but she felt ready. With friends by her side and hope in her heart, she knew that whatever came next, they would face it together. Speaking of dates, Naruko said with a bright smile, brushing a strand of golden hair behind her ear. Would you like to go out tonight, Sakura? Sakura paused, surprised. She tapped her chin thoughtfully. Part of her almost said no right away, like she used to, back when she was unsure of her feelings and still figuring things out. But another part of her, one that had grown over time, felt warm and curious. It reminded her of all the moments she and Naruko had shared as teammates, helping each other grow stronger and kinder. Still, Sakura was tired from a long day. "Not right now, Naruko," she said gently. "Maybe ask me again another time?" Naruko's smile didn't fade. "All right, Sakura. Some other time," she said cheerfully. Then she turned with the same hopeful energy. "Hey, Ino. Would you like to go out tonight?" Both Sakura and Ino blinked in surprise. Naruko?" Sakura said, raising an eyebrow. "You just asked me a second ago." Ino crossed her arms but smiled a little. "It kind of sounds like you're just asking everyone," she added. "Like it doesn't matter who says yes." Naruko's eyes widened, and she waved her hands quickly. No. That's not what I meant at all," she said. "I'm still figuring out how this whole asking someone out thing works. I didn't mean to make it seem careless." Sakura and Ino exchanged a glance. "I just think you're both amazing," Naruko continued honestly. "Sakura, you're strong and thoughtful. And Ino, you're kind and confident. I thought it would be nice to spend time together, just as friends getting to know each other better." The tension melted a little. Ino smiled. "Well, when you say it like that. Sure. Why not? It could be fun." Sakura looked surprised. "You're saying yes?" Ino shrugged playfully. "It's just spending time together. No pressure." Naruko beamed. "Great. Let's meet at 6. We can go somewhere simple and nice." As Ino walked off waving, Naruko turned in the other direction, already thinking. Where should we go?" she wondered aloud. "Somewhere cozy. Maybe with good food and a nice view. It should feel special, but not too fancy." She nodded to herself, clearly excited. "Yeah," she said softly. "Something that makes everyone smile." And with that, Naruko skipped off, looking forward to a simple evening filled with laughter, friendship, and new memories. "Indeed," Danzo said, studying Naruko carefully as he stood in the quiet room. "Why don't you tell me more about this Kaguya woman?" Naruko shook her head with a calm smile. "No, thank you. She isn't really important right now. I think it's better we talk about honesty and trust instead." Danzo frowned slightly, unsure how to respond. Naruko's voice was steady, but not unkind. "Sometimes people make decisions thinking they are helping others," she continued gently, "but forget to listen to those around them." Danzo crossed her arms. "You speak boldly." Naruko nodded. "I just believe people should work together, not in secret or fear." She paused, then added with a lighter tone, "And maybe we can all try to be a little kinder too." For a moment, the room was quiet. Then Naruko turned toward the door. "Anyway, I really should get going. I have plans this evening." As she stepped outside, a soft swirl of warm air followed her, like a playful breeze guiding her path. By the time anyone looked again, she had already slipped away, leaving only a peaceful silence behind. Later that evening, Ino stood in front of her mirror, adjusting her purple dress. "I wonder what kind of place she picked," she said to herself. "Hopefully not too fancy. But not too simple either." She smiled, adding a touch of lipstick. "Well, Naruko has surprised me before." Right on time, there was a knock at the door. When Ino opened it, she saw Naruko standing there, wearing a neat black outfit and a bright, friendly smile. "Wow, you look wonderful," Naruko said, offering her arm. Ino smiled back. "Thank you. You look pretty great too." As they walked together through the village, Ino asked, "So where are we going?" "Nothing too fancy," Naruko replied. "Just a cozy place called the Lucky Leaf." "That sounds perfect," Ino said, clearly pleased. The restaurant was warm and welcoming. After they ordered their food, Naruko leaned forward slightly. "So, what's it like being on your team?" Ino thought for a moment. "It's nice. I've known my teammates for a long time, so we get along well. But sometimes I feel like things could be more balanced." Naruko nodded thoughtfully. "That makes sense. Teams work best when everyone feels included." "What about you?" Ino asked. "Are you happy to be back?" Naruko smiled softly. "I am. It feels good to be home. Though I've been so busy, I haven't even had time to fix up my garden." "You like gardening?" Ino's eyes lit up. "I do," Naruko said. "But I'm not very good yet." "Well," Ino said with a grin, I can help you with that. My family knows a lot about plants. They spent the rest of the evening happily talking about flowers, colors, and ideas for growing beautiful gardens. Time passed quickly, and before they knew it, the stars were shining overhead. As Naruko walked Ino home, Ino hesitated at her doorstep. I had a really nice time tonight. Me too, Naruko said warmly. Ino smiled, a little shy. Do you think we could do this again sometime? Naruko's eyes brightened. I would like that very much. Ino waved as Naruko turned to leave, feeling happy and hopeful. As she watched her go, she thought to herself that sometimes, the simplest evenings could become the most special memories. And somewhere nearby, a gentle breeze rustled the leaves, as if the village itself agreed. Ino hummed softly as she watered the rows of bright flowers in her father's shop. Ever since Naruko had surprised everyone with the news that leaders from 3 different villages were coming to visit, Lady Tsunade had paused most regular missions. Only the simplest errands and the most important duties were being handled. Helping in the flower shop felt peaceful, and Ino didn't mind it at all. The bell above the door chimed, and Ino quickly stepped behind the counter. Welcome to the Yamanaka flower shop. How can I help you today? Before she could say more, Sakura rushed in and gently grabbed her arm, eyes sparkling with curiosity. You can help me by telling me what happened last night, Sakura said. How was your time with Naruko? What did you talk about? Are you 2 friends now? Ino laughed and lightly covered Sakura's mouth to slow her down. It was nice, she said once Sakura quieted. We had dinner, talked about all sorts of things, and she walked me home. She's really thoughtful. Sakura's eyes widened. That sounds actually really sweet. It was, Ino said with a small smile. Naruko wanted to learn about me, and I wanted to learn about her. That's all that mattered. Sakura crossed her arms, thinking. I guess I never really thought about spending time with her like that. Ino grinned. Maybe you should. You might be surprised. Sakura blushed slightly. And maybe someday. Just then, the door opened again, and Inoki stepped inside. Hello, Sakura, he said warmly. It's been a while. Hello, Mr. Yamanaka, Sakura replied politely. Training has been keeping me busy. Inoki nodded, then looked at Ino. Everything all right here? Everything's fine, Ino said. I'm heading out now, I promise to help welcome the visitors. Inoki smiled proudly. You're becoming quite responsible. Ino gave him a quick hug before heading out, Sakura following close behind. The 2 friends made their way toward the village gates. The air was lively with anticipation. So, Sakura said, Naruko is helping organize all of this? Of course, Ino replied. She has a big heart. She wants everyone to get along. As they reached the gates, they saw Naruko standing with Lady Tsunade and Jiraiya. Naruko waved energetically when she spotted them. Ino. Sakura. You made it. She called. Of course we did, Ino said. We wouldn't miss this. Naruko beamed. Great. We're about to welcome our guests. Just then, a small group approached from the road. At the front was Gaara, calm and composed, with Temari and Kankuro beside him. It's good to see you again, Gaara said politely. And you, Lady Tsunade replied. Welcome. Naruko stepped forward with her usual bright smile. I'm really glad you're here. I thought it would be nice for everyone to meet and share ideas. Gaara nodded. It's a wonderful idea. Cooperation between villages can only make things better. Soon, Lady Tsunade and Gaara began discussing plans, heading toward the Hokage Tower. The others stayed behind. Naruko turned to Temari. Come on. I'll show you around the village. There's so much to see. Temari smiled. I'd like that. Ino crossed her arms playfully. Just don't forget why we're here, Naruko. Naruko laughed. Don't worry, I won't. As they all walked together, Sakura lingered for a moment, watching her friends. Things are changing, she said softly to herself. Then she smiled and hurried to catch up, ready to be part of whatever came next. So, Temari, Ino said as they walked through the sunny park, leaves rustling gently in the breeze. What exactly is so great about Shikamaru? I mean, I've known him my whole life. He's nice, but he always seems a bit sleepy. Temari smiled thoughtfully. That's part of what makes him special, she said. He notices things others miss, even when he looks like he's daydreaming. Ino tilted her head. I guess. But he still seems kind of boring. A cheerful laugh rang out nearby. Naruko stepped out from behind a tree, brushing a leaf from her bright hair. "You'd be surprised," she said with a grin. "Sometimes the quiet ones have the most interesting ideas." Tamari crossed her arms playfully. "Speaking of interesting ideas, Naruko, didn't you say you had a plan?" Naruko nodded confidently. "I sure do. Tamari, just go talk to Shikamaru and invite him to spend some time with you. Keep it simple." Ino blinked. "That's your big plan?" Naruko shrugged with a smile. "Sometimes simple works best." Tamari chuckled and walked over to where Shikamaru lay on a grassy hill, gazing up at the clouds. After a short conversation, he slowly sat up, looking surprised, but then gave a small nod. Tamari returned with a pleased expression. "Well?" Ino asked eagerly. "He said yes," Tamari replied. "That really was easy." Ino clapped her hands. "Then we need to get you ready. I have just the outfit in mind." As the two walked off together, Naruko stretched her arms and looked around. Just then, she noticed Hinata standing nearby, her hands clasped nervously. "And Naruko," Hinata said softly. "I was wondering. Would you like to go for a walk with me this evening?" Naruko blinked in surprise, then smiled warmly. "Of course, Hinata. How about we meet at 6? Hinata nodded, her face lighting up with happiness as she hurried away. Later that evening, Naruko and Hinata walked along a quiet path lined with glowing lanterns. Fireflies danced in the air, and the sky was painted in soft shades of orange and purple. "This is really nice," Naruko said. "I'm glad we did this." Hinata smiled shyly. "Me too." They talked about their training, their favorite foods, and the little things that made them happy. Naruko shared stories from her travels, and Hinata listened with bright, curious eyes. "You've seen so much," Hinata said. "It must have been exciting." "It was," Naruko replied. "But it's always nice to come home and spend time with friends." As they reached the entrance to Hinata's home, they paused. "I had a wonderful time," Hinata said softly. "Me too," Naruko said with a grin. "We should do this again." Hinata hesitated, then spoke carefully. "Naruko, I've always admired you. You never give up, no matter what. It made me want to be stronger too." Naruko's expression softened. "Hinata, that means a lot to me. But you know, you're already strong in your own way." Hinata looked surprised. "I am?" "Of course," Naruko said. "You're kind, patient, and brave enough to keep trying. That's real strength." Hinata smiled, her confidence growing. Naruko waved as she turned to leave. "Good night, Hinata." "Good night, Naruko," Hinata replied, her voice brighter than before. As Naruko walked home under the starry sky, she smiled to herself. It had been a simple evening, but sometimes, simple moments were the most meaningful of all. "Come on, please," Naruko said as she dropped to her knees beside Tsunade, looking up with bright, hopeful eyes. "You don't have to make her your next apprentice or anything. Just give her a little extra training so she'll feel confident enough to stand on her own." "Naruko, we've been over this," Tsunade replied, though her tone was softer than before. "If I'm going to make this alliance work, it will take a lot of my time. I won't have much left for training Sakura and Hinata." Naruko stood up and crossed her arms, thinking carefully before speaking again. "But you know Sakura has already learned so much from you. And Hinata just needs a little encouragement. You're the best person to help her believe in herself." Tsunade sighed, rubbing her forehead. She could tell Naruko truly cared about her friends. And Naruko rarely asked for anything for herself. "Fine," Tsunade said at last. "I'll make time and work out a training schedule." Naruko's face lit up like sunshine. "Thank you so much," she said, throwing her arms around Tsunade in a cheerful hug. "I promise it'll be worth it." Tsunade smiled and gently patted her on the back. All right. Now, who are we meeting this morning?" "The representatives from Ame should be arriving today," Naruko said, though there was a small hint of nervousness in her voice. As they reached the village gates, Jiraiya joined them, glancing down the road. "Any idea when our guests will arrive?" "They should be here soon," Naruko said, tapping her chin thoughtfully. "I don't think it takes that long to fly here." "Fly?" Tsunade repeated, raising an eyebrow. Before Naruko could explain, a strange but fascinating sound filled the air. Everyone looked up to see a large, unusual bird gliding toward them. It had 3 wings and moved in a slightly wobbly way, but it landed safely just outside the gates. "That's what I meant," Naruko said with a small grin. 3 cloaked figures stepped down from the bird. For a moment, Tsunade looked concerned, but Naruko stepped forward calmly. One of the figures suddenly ran toward them, waving happily. Master Jiraiya. A cheerful voice called. The hood fell back, revealing a young woman with blue hair and kind eyes. She ran up and hugged Jiraiya tightly. It's so good to see you again, she said warmly. Jiraiya blinked in surprise, then slowly smiled. Konan. It really is you. Konan laughed softly before turning to Naruko. And you, she said playfully, still have that same determined spirit. Naruko grinned and hugged her. I missed you. Nearby, another figure stepped forward more calmly. She had bright orange hair and gentle purple eyes that seemed to hold deep wisdom. It's nice to see you again, Master Jiraiya, she said politely. Jiraiya studied her for a moment, then his expression softened. Nagato. You've grown. Nagato gave a small, shy smile. We all have. There was a quiet moment as everyone looked at one another, not with fear, but with curiosity and understanding. Naruko stepped forward, her voice steady and full of hope. We're not here to argue or fight, she said. We're here to work together. There's so much we can learn from each other. Tsunade watched Naruko carefully, then nodded. If this alliance is built on trust and cooperation, then we'll give it a chance. Konan clasped her hands together happily. That's all we hoped for. Nagato added, a future where villages support one another. That's something worth building. Naruko beamed, her eyes shining with excitement. Then let's do it together. And under the bright morning sky, what began as a meeting between strangers slowly turned into the beginning of a new friendship, one built on kindness, understanding, and the courage to believe in a better tomorrow. Danzo walked slowly through the quiet halls of his hidden root facility, his hands folded behind his back. He had been thinking constantly since his conversation with Naruko 2 days ago. The young girl had become impossible to approach. She was always surrounded by others, laughing in open places, or moving from one location to another as if guided by instinct. Even his careful plans to watch her home had failed, she simply wasn't there. Danzo let out a long sigh. If Naruko spoke to Lady Tsunade about what she had learned, everything he had built over the years could unravel. You seem troubled, Lord Danzo. The calm voice came from behind him. Danzo turned and saw Itachi standing quietly in the doorway, his expression unreadable. You have boldness, coming here, Danzo replied. With a subtle gesture, several root agents stepped into the shadows around Itachi. Itachi remained still. There is little time, and much to discuss. It would be wise to stay focused. Danzo studied him carefully. You expect me to trust you after everything? After speaking to Naruko and revealing things best left buried? Itachi's voice stayed even. If Naruko truly wished to expose you, she would have done so already. Danzo paused. That thought had crossed his mind more than once. She is not plotting against you, Itachi continued. She is trying to understand the world and the people in it, even those who have not treated her kindly. Danzo frowned. You speak as if that is a strength. It is, Itachi said simply. For a moment, silence filled the room. Finally, Danzo spoke again. Then what do you suggest we do? Before Itachi could answer, a distant rumble echoed through the facility. The walls trembled slightly, and dust drifted down from the ceiling. Danzo turned toward a nearby monitor. It seems we have visitors. On the screen, Lady Tsunade and several Onbu members were entering carefully, not with destruction, but with determination. They were guiding people to safety, helping those who had been working in the facility find their way out. They are not here to destroy, Itachi observed. They are here to bring things into the light. Danzo watched quietly. For the first time, there was uncertainty in his eyes. Another soft sound came from behind them. Danzo turned, and there stood Naruko. She looked different from before. Not in strength, but in presence. She stood calmly, her bright eyes steady, her posture confident yet gentle. Beside her were her friends, including Nagato and a quiet, mysterious woman dressed in white. They did not appear angry. Instead, they seemed hopeful. Naruko, Danzo said slowly. You've come. She nodded. I didn't come to fight. Danzo blinked, surprised. I came to talk, she continued. I know things have been hidden for a long time. But hiding them hasn't made anything better. Nagato stepped forward, her expression firm but not hostile. We all want the same thing, a better future. But it won't come from fear or control. Danzo looked between them, then at Itachi. You knew this would happen, he said quietly. Itachi gave a small nod. I believed it could. Naruko took another step forward. You don't have to do everything alone. You don't have to keep holding on to things that hurt others. The room felt different now, lighter, as if something heavy had begun to lift. Danzo exhaled slowly. For years, he had believed strength meant control. That trust was weakness. But standing here, surrounded not by enemies but by people offering understanding, he began to question that belief. What happens now? He asked. Naruko smiled gently. Now, we start fixing things. Together. Outside, the sounds of movement continued, not of battle, but of people working side by side. And deep within the once shadowed halls of Root, something new began to grow, not fear, but the quiet beginning of change. Danzo folded his arms and gave a small, surprised smile. Not bad, he admitted. Across from him, Nagato stood tall, her expression calm but determined. The room felt full of quiet energy, like something important was about to happen. Naruko stepped forward beside her friend, her bright eyes shining with confidence. She brushed a strand of hair from her face and grinned. We're not here to fight, she said gently. We're here to make things better. Nagato nodded, raising her hand as soft, glowing energy gathered around her. Instead of harm, it spread like a warm breeze through the room, calming everything it touched. Even the strange creature nearby, Baku, stopped moving and settled peacefully, as if soothed by the kindness in the air. Danzo looked around, confused. What is this? He asked. It's a different way, Naruko replied. We don't have to keep hurting each other. We can choose something better. At that moment, Kaguya stepped forward quietly. With a graceful motion, she opened a shimmering doorway in the air. It sparkled like starlight, bending space in a way that felt magical rather than frightening. No one needs to run, Kaguya said softly. Every path can lead to understanding. Danzo hesitated, then lowered his gaze. The tension in his shoulders slowly faded. For the first time, he seemed to listen. Meanwhile, in another part of the base, Konan worked alongside her friends, guiding the situation with care. Sheets of paper floated around her like gentle wings, helping to guide and protect others rather than harm them. Stay together, she said calmly. We'll get through this. Gaara and the others helped keep everything under control, making sure everyone was safe. The chaos gradually settled into quiet. Konan paused for a moment, placing a hand over her heart. Naruko. Nagato. Please be okay, she whispered. Just then, a soft ripple passed through the air. Light bent and shimmered, and suddenly the space opened once more. Kaguya stepped out, followed by Naruko, Nagato, and Itachi, who tumbled out in a slightly clumsy pile. Naruko laughed, giving a cheerful thumbs up. We're okay. Konan's eyes widened with relief. She rushed forward and wrapped them all in a tight hug. I was so worried, she said, tears of happiness in her eyes. Naruko hugged her back warmly. Don't worry, she said with a bright smile. I'm going to keep going until I become Hokage, and help everyone build a peaceful future together. Nagato smiled softly, and even Itachi gave a small nod of approval. For a moment, everyone simply stood there, together, safe and smiling. The tension was gone, replaced by hope. And in that quiet, shining moment, it felt like a new beginning had truly begun. As sweet as the moment felt, Naruko suddenly heard a gentle voice beneath the pile of friends. Do you think you could get off me? He asked. Konan and Naruko quickly stepped back, cheeks turning pink with embarrassment. Nagato and Itachi stood up, brushing the dust from their clothes. Thank you, he added with a small smile. It was getting a bit uncomfortable down there. Konan and Naruko exchanged shy glances, while Itachi and Nagato quietly left to help Tsunade finish organizing everything. For a moment, things felt calm. Konan noticed Kaguya watching them from a distance. Her expression was quiet and unreadable, but no longer filled with anger. Wanting to show kindness, Konan gave a small, sincere nod. Thank you, she said gently. Kaguya blinked in surprise, then turned and walked away without a word. Naruko, thinking Konan was speaking to her, smiled brightly. It was nothing, she said. I'll always help my friends. That's what matters. Konan's eyes softened. And I would do the same, she replied. The sun slowly dipped below the horizon as Naruko, Konan, and Nagato sat atop the Hokage monument. The long day had finally come to an end. Wow! What a day, Naruko said, stretching her arms. Konan and Nagato nodded. I just hope Tsunade doesn't get too mad at me for keeping things quiet for so long, Naruko added nervously. Konan let out a small laugh, while Nagato smiled. She was upset, Nagato admitted. But I think she understands that you were trying to protect everyone. Naruko scratched her head and laughed. I guess. But she still expects me to rush in without thinking sometimes. The three of them shared a warm laugh. Konan leaned slightly against Naruko's shoulder. Well, you're learning, she said. And because of you, everything turned out better. That's what matters. Naruko smiled. Thanks. Now. Who wants to celebrate? Ramen's on me. Konan stood up with a grin. That sounds perfect. Naruko turned to Nagato. Want to come with us? Nagato hesitated, then gently shook her head. No, thank you. You two go ahead. I'll see you later. She walked off quietly. Naruko tilted her head. That was strange. Konan frowned slightly. She's been thinking a lot lately. We should check on her later. Naruko nodded. Yeah, definitely. Dash. As they walked toward Ichiraku, a familiar voice called out. Naruko. They turned to see Ino hurrying toward them, clearly worried. What's this I hear about you going into danger all by yourself? Ino asked, hands on her hips. Naruko gave a sheepish grin. To be fair, I wasn't alone the whole time. Ino sighed. You need to be more careful. Your friends are here for you, you know. Naruko's expression softened. I know. I promise I'll do better. Ino smiled, relieved. Good. Just stay safe, okay? I will, Naruko said. Konan stepped forward kindly. It's nice to meet you, Ino. Ino smiled back, a little shy now. You too. After a short chat, Ino waved goodbye and headed off. Dash. Soon, Naruko and Konan reached Ichiraku. Ayame greeted them warmly. Naruko. You're back, she said. And who's this? This is Konan, Naruko said proudly. She's a very important friend. Konan smiled politely. It's nice to meet you. They sat down and enjoyed a warm meal together. Naruko told cheerful stories, making everyone laugh. The simple moment felt peaceful after such a long day. Dash. Later, under the soft glow of the moonlight, Naruko and Konan walked side by side. Konan, Naruko said gently, do you want me to walk you back? Konan paused, then looked at her with a small smile. I was worried about you today, she admitted. But seeing you safe. It means a lot. Naruko smiled reassuringly. I'll always do my best to come back safe. You don't have to worry. Konan nodded. I know. They continued walking, the quiet night filled with calm and hope. No matter what challenges came next, they knew one thing for certain, they would face it together, as friends who cared deeply for one another. Naruko brushed a bit of dust off the small table and gave an apologetic smile. Sorry if it's a little messy, she said as she stepped inside her one-room home. I haven't really spent much time here lately. Konan looked around with a gentle expression. It's fine, she replied. It feels like you, simple, warm, and honest. Naruko laughed softly, a little embarrassed but clearly happy. I'll take that as a compliment. They both slipped off their shoes and settled onto the floor beside a low table. The late afternoon light filtered through the window, painting the room in a golden glow. For a moment, neither of them spoke. It was peaceful, something both of them had needed for a long time. I'm really glad you came, Naruko said quietly, her voice softer than usual. Today was a lot. Konan nodded. I know. That's why I'm here. She reached out and gently took Naruko's hand. You don't always have to carry everything by yourself. Naruko blinked in surprise, then smiled, a real, unguarded smile. I'm still getting used to that idea, she admitted. They spent the evening talking about everything and nothing, old memories, small dreams, and the kind of silly stories that made them both laugh. Naruko found herself opening up more than she expected, while Konan listened with quiet understanding. As the sky outside deepened into night, Naruko stood up and stretched. I don't have much, she said, pulling out an extra blanket, but you can stay here tonight. Konan smiled. I'd like that. They sat together by the window for a while longer, watching the stars slowly appear. Naruko pointed out the brightest ones, making up funny names for them, and Konan couldn't help but laugh. You know, Konan said after a while, even on difficult days, moments like this make everything feel lighter. Naruko nodded. Yeah. They do. She paused, then added, I think. I want more moments like this. You will, Konan replied confidently. You just have to keep going. Naruko looked at her, feeling a quiet sense of determination grow inside her. Then I will. Soon, they lay down under the blankets, the room calm and still. The worries of the day slowly faded as they drifted off to sleep, comforted by the simple but powerful feeling of not being alone. And in that small, humble home, under a sky full of stars, Naruko found something she hadn't realized she'd been searching for all along: peace, friendship, and the promise of brighter days ahead. Across town, another kunoichi from the hidden rain village was having a very restless night. Nagato sat by the window, gazing up at the glowing moon. The soft silver light filled the room, but it did little to calm her busy thoughts. She gently tapped her fingers against the edge of her bed, waiting. Conan still hadn't returned. Nagato sighed and leaned back, staring at the ceiling. Her mind wandered, imagining her friends out on their own adventures. Ever since Naruko had come into their lives, everything had begun to change, slowly, gently, like the first drops of rain after a long dry season. Nagato looked down at herself and frowned slightly. Ever since the strange twist of fate that had changed her body, she had been trying to understand who she was now. It wasn't easy. Some days she felt confident, and other days she felt completely unsure. I need to stop overthinking, she muttered quietly. She touched one of the small black studs she wore as earrings. They reminded her of strength and control, something she admired. She remembered how Naruko had once said, with her usual bright smile, that they looked nice on her. At the time, Nagato hadn't thought much of it. But now, she wondered why that small compliment had stayed with her. Naruko had a way of doing that, saying simple things that somehow meant a lot. Nagato sat up and hugged her knees. I don't understand any of this, she said softly. She cared deeply for Conan. That much had never changed. But now there were new feelings, confusing, unexpected ones, that she didn't quite know how to sort out. With a small shake of her head, she stood up and walked to the mirror. The reflection staring back at her still felt unfamiliar at times, but she looked into her own eyes and took a deep breath. I'll figure it out, she said firmly. One step at a time. The night air felt cool as she opened the window slightly, letting in a gentle breeze. Somewhere out there, Naruko was probably laughing, bringing warmth and hope to everyone she met, just as she always did. Nagato smiled faintly. Maybe things didn't have to be so complicated. Maybe, just like the rain that eventually clears, everything would make sense in time. She returned to her bed, pulling the blanket over herself. This time, as she closed her eyes, her thoughts were quieter. Not gone, but softer, like distant echoes instead of loud storms. And under the calm glow of the moon, Nagato finally began to drift into a peaceful sleep. Dear YouTube family. This is all for now, but every ending is simply the beginning of something new. I truly appreciate each one of you who took the time to watch, support, and be a part of this journey. Your views, your comments, and your encouragement mean more than words can express. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps me continue creating and bringing more content your way. There is much more ahead, and I am excited to share it with all of you. Until next time, stay safe, stay inspired, and keep supporting. Thank you once again. Regards. 6 Path Weeb.